Hey everybody, back today with a new video after 9 months of hiatus. There's an accompanying video that can explain where I've been. But anyway, I'm back with the classic album song ranking here with Sam St. John. He and I started this, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and we've done 21 albums, classic albums, ranking the songs on it. And this is a good starting point for me to get back in the swing of things. And today we have chosen from 1976 my original copy of Hotel California. That's the album we'll be doing by the Eagles. And glad to be doing it. We're going to do all 9 songs, including the reprise of a certain song. Eagles' 5th studio album came out in late December of 1976 on Asylum Records. 26 times platinum, 32 million sold. At one point, it was number 37 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums. This is the first studio album with Joe Walsh in the band, replacing Bernie Leadon, who, he did his part in the Eagles when they were sort of a different countrified band, and this adds a little rock punch to it. It's the last album with Randy Meisner on bass before Timothy B. Schmidt would come in next time on The Long Run. And this is riding the coattails of this album, which came out in February of 76, the Eagles' Greatest Hits, which at one point and one time was the biggest selling album of the 20th century, if you can believe that. That's how many records that thing sold. So we're glad to be doing this album. Sam, I know you're not maybe as big an Eagles fan as I am, but I know you like this album too. What's your history behind the band and the album?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, the first thing that I've got to say is I'm very happy to be doing this again. That's been far too long. I love this series. I love, hanging out with Rich and just, talking music, talking whatever, floats our boat. But so this is really cool to be doing this again. But my first reference to the Eagles, other than hearing them on the radio, was that Greatest Hits record. My dad bought it for me when I was in middle school, and I always thought it was weird that Hotel California wasn't on it. But little did I know in my young brain that it hadn't come out yet from that album. And so I ate that album up. It was on I downloaded it. It was on my iPod. I was listening to it all the time. All those songs on that album, Desperado, Best of My Love, Take It Easy, all those early Eagles cuts pre Joe Walsh, I was eating up. And again, as a aspiring acoustic guitar player, trying to learn Eagles songs on guitar, obviously, was a big thing for me. But no, this album, I have Rich to thank for sending this my way probably about a year ago now, the Hotel California album, as well as some other Eagles CDs that I didn't have. And just, in preparing for this video and re-listening to it, this was tough. There's a reason that it's, however many times platinum you said it went. We were talking with some friends earlier. The first few tracks are all hits. And then, a few more down the track listing, they're semi-hits too. And even the deep cuts are like, this could be higher than some of the hits. So it's tough. It's definitely a little edgier sound with, the dueling guitars with Felder and Joe Walsh. And obviously we'll talk about that with certain songs once we get to those in the ranking. But it's a great record. Not really a concept record, definitely some concept songs, but it's a great, move forward in like the whatever you want to call that California country rock sound, whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think their next record and last for a number of years, The Long Run, might be more of a concept album than this for me. But they might be two of my favorite Eagles albums only because of their edginess and the rock nature. I like the first 4 as well. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan, but there's something about when Joe Walsh came to the band, they added a missing element, I think, for me. And Felder's already an accomplished guitarist. Let's not lose sight of that. And Don Felder was fantastic in his own right, as was Bernie Leadon. They have good people, and instrumentalists all throughout. So let's get into this. Sam's going to go first. We're going to go down from 9 to 1. We'll give him the album an overall 1 to 10 ranking at the end, like we've always done in the past, just to keep it consistent. So take it away, Sam. What do you got?
Well, again, we talked prior about what we were going to consider songs on the record, and even based on the track listing, it does say 9 songs, so it's not like we were cutting any corners by saying that we were going to rank all 9 of the tracks. So with that to say, I'm going to go, and I think we probably agree on this. Number 9 is going to be the reprise of "Wasted Time," not because it's bad, not because it's filler, but it's just like the string instrumental that kind of plays on some of the themes and the notes of "Wasted Time," which finishes side A of the record. And this starts up side 2 of the vinyl copy of it. And I mean, it's a really pretty, again, full orchestra reprise to kind of, again, fit thematically. But yeah, I mean, with all the other great singing and the harmonies and everything on the other 8 tracks, this is number 9, no question.
Yeah, no question for me. I mean, it just, without the lyrics, it's just not going to have the weightiness of some of the other 8 songs or any of the other 8 songs. I like the strings. It's pretty to listen to. It's nice. It's a good transition from side 1 to side 2, but there has to be a 9th place, and this is it.
Yep.
So on to 8.
Yeah, easy. Number 8, and we were talking about this pre-filming, that this album is very Don Henley heavy. I mean, if you don't count the reprise as a song, like in terms of if you're just counting the vocal songs, Henley is singing 5 out of the 8 tracks. And, so with that, Henley songs are going to be at the bottom. They're going to be at the top for me anyway. So number 8 for me is going to be the song "Victim of Love," which is one of the more rocky songs on the record. It's a good song. Again, it's on side 2 of the record. Some great lyrics. It talks about, a room full of noise and dangerous boys. Still makes you thirsty and hot. Again, great tune. It's rocky, but again, when you have an album that's so heavy with these hits, and the reason that they are hits, shows. This album, again, especially with listening to it, I was trying to pair it off with this one, and then what ends up being my number 7, figuring out which one I liked less. For some reason, this one kept kind of gnawing at me as number 8. So "Victim of Love" for me as the first real, lyrical song.
Right. All right. Well, I'm going to have that one a little down the line here, but my number 8 is an easy transition from the "Wasted Time" reprise to the "Wasted Time" song. All apologies to my good friend Doc, which is his favorite song on the album. And I was surprised in reading some of the comments on YouTube. A lot of people love this song. Really, they think it's the best song on the album. I just don't see it. It's inspired by the Philly soul of Tom Bell, Gamble and Huff, a soulful ballad that Henley was listening to a lot of that Philly soul stuff, and he wanted to do something along that line, and his voice is perfect for it. He's got that raspiness and soulfulness in his voice, and basically the gist of the song is a sad and painful result of a broken relationship. You spend so much time with one person, you think it's going to be that person, your soulmate, and eventually you have to move on. That's what I get out of it anyway. And the key lyric for me in this song is, "You can get on with your search, baby, and I can get on with mine. And maybe someday we'll find that it wasn't really wasted time." And I think anybody that's been in a long-term relationship or really cared about somebody and, have to break off for whatever reasons and not see this person again, you think maybe it has been wasted time, because that's 3-4 years or whatever it was out of your life. And that's what they're getting to. But musically itself, to me, it's the least effective song on the album with a vocal. So I'm going to put it at number 8, "Wasted Time."
Very good.
7.
Number 7 is going to be the album closer, "The Last Resort." To me, it's a little bit self-indulgent Henley. I mean, it's a long track. It's a pretty ballad. Again, it's got more of the strings on it. But it's one of those, kind of tongue in cheek, well, not tongue in cheek, but kind of a snarky attitude from Henley, in my opinion. It kind of, honestly, it reminded me of some of the songs that he ended up doing on Long Road Out of Eden, but it ended up being the final Eagles album that they put out in '07, whenever that album came out. I mean, again, it's a good song. I like it. I like it better than most of the songs on Long Road Out of Eden, obviously. But there's lines like because there is no more new frontier, but we've got to make it here. We satisfy our endless needs, justify our bloody deeds in the name of destiny and in the name of God. So it's obviously, again, got the political leaning on it. It has some religious undertones to it as well. Again, which is fine, but for me, it's Henley becoming. It's a very Henley song, and I don't know, something about it for me. I'm just like, like the more I listen to it, the more I'm like, it's a little bit too much for me. Again, I like it. I like it a lot better than a lot of songs out there, but I don't know. For some reason, it came in at number 7 this time around.
Interesting. All right, my number 7, and I think I can see where this is going. We're going to have sort of a topsy-turvy countdown, which is fine, which is ideal, really, because we can talk about these in different ways. My number 7 is the Joe Walsh song, Pretty Maids All in a Row, which I really, really like. I like these top 7 songs better than I do that 8th one, but Joe on piano here, co-written by his ex-Barnstorm bandmate, Joe Vitale. I was interested to know that Bob Dylan loves this song for some reason. This is one of Bob Dylan's favorite Eagles songs, from what I read. And I don't get the connection because it's not as deep lyrically, maybe, as you would think coming from Dylan, or even mysterious or up for interpretation or whatever. And to me, it's a strange choice for a Joe Walsh track on the album because it's sort of mellowed out a little bit. It's not the usual, it's not Rocky Mountain Way, Life's Been Good, or even In the City, which, are harder rock tunes than this. But I still love the song. Reflections of maybe what went on in his life prior, wealth and fame. He's got that line, wishing well fools with their fortune. Probably some people that are, throwing money away and living in the fast lane, to quote another song in the album. And I did a little research on it, and at the end it says, "Gone are the ribbons and bows." That is a line for his daughter Emma, who was killed in a car crash at age 3, Joe Walsh's daughter. Ribbons and bows in her hair, and he's sort of paying homage to her there. But this is a beautiful song. Side 2 of the album. And again, a lot of Eagles fans really rate this way up on the list. And for me, it falls at number 7 just on this album. Doesn't mean I don't like it. It means I like the other 6 better. So that's where we're going.
Yeah. I know my buddy Alex over at Beer and Vinyl, that's a top song for him.
Yeah, a lot of people love that song.
Yeah. All right. Number 6. You've already mentioned it. I'm going to go with Wasted Time at number 6. Again, you kind of hit on it. Pretty ballad. Some great lyrics, some, thought-provoking lyrics in terms of, kind of like the lost love, did I waste time, that sort of thing. The stanza that stands out to me for, again, another Henley song, like you said, kind of with the Philly soul style. The autumn leaves have got you thinking about the first time that you fell. You didn't love the boy too much. No, you just love the boy too well. Like, that's just, that's a heavy lyric. And again, obviously, like the Eagles at this time were top of the heap, and to put out a song like this is just, it's pretty heavy stuff. And again, Henley sings it perfectly. His voice is great. And kind of like you said, like at this point, like all these songs are just, it just comes down to what I'm feeling at this moment in terms of what I like, and the ranking. I love this song. And again, it works well with the reprise after it as well on the record. But again, having to separate it track by track, it makes it a little bit more difficult and kind of takes away some of the emotion with the reprise being removed from it. But I like the track. It's definitely one that I can see growing on me over time. But
Mhm.
for right now, it's number 6, kind of hanging out in the middle there.
Yep. Good one. My number 6 is the first single off the album. That's New Kid in Town.
Mm.
Very accessible, mainstream, number 1 single, melodic, the great harmonies that you expect from an Eagles tune. Co-written by J.D. Souther, who was a bandmate of Don Henley and, of Glenn Fry and Long Branch Penny Whistle, the band they had before the Eagles in the late 60s. I think 69 to 71, in that range. Again, this is a fantastic song, middle of the road kind of stuff. It's got this great oversized Mexican guitar played by Randy Meisner, which adds a little nuance to it. Don Henley's quoted as saying the song is about the fleeting, fickle nature of love and romance. It's also about the fleeting nature of fame, especially in the music business. We were basically saying, look, we know we're red hot right now, but we also know somebody's going to come along and replace us, both in music and in love. And that's what I get out of the song, too. There's a new kid in town. I like when Glenn Fry, he's got the lead on this, and he sings towards the end, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. There's a new kid. It's just a cool song. I know the Eagles weren't as cool a band in the 70s as I would like them to be, because if you were cool, you're listening to Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and Black Sabbath at that time. The Eagles were more mainstream, along the lines of a Fleetwood Mac, let's say, where they had pop success. People didn't take them as real rock stars because they were too successful, but I never bought into that. They were always one of my favorite bands. I think they wrote great songs. Henley and Fry are singer-songwriters in their own right. They just happen to be in the context of a band, and they're perfectionists along the line of Steely Dan. Their music sounds pristine every time you hear an album. So anyway, New Kid in Town's a cool song for me. It's just maybe it's the overplayed thing, but comes in at number 6. But if I had it on now, I'd be singing along. It's a good tune.
Yeah, it's going to show up a little bit later for me. Number 5. Here comes the first gut punch to Rich here.
Here we go.
I'm going to go with the title track at number 5. Again, the word overplayed is an understatement. And actually, what's funny is my local, adult contemporary station here, when I was driving to school, from first grade up until my senior year of high school, the main version that they played of Hotel California, and obviously they played it all the time, was the acoustic version from Hell Freezes Over, which is a nice version. It's great with the classical guitars with Felder and Walsh kind of reprising their original solos on acoustic guitars. But it's overplayed. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And again, it's a great song. I mean, lyrically, it is so well written. And the Felder, Fry, and Henley all have co-write credits on it. I know Walsh and Felder had a lot to do with like the dual solo that at the end to kind of fade out. Again, perfect story song. It's perfect. I'm just tired. It's on my short list of songs that I would kick off a cliff and never have to hear it again. But again, there's a reason I didn't put it at number 9, because it's still a great song. I mean, one of the best ending stanzas of any song ever, which is, it's obviously, again, a Henley song where he says, last thing I remember, I was running for the door, had to find the passage back to the place I was before. Relax, said the night man, we are programmed to receive. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Just what an ending. And it wraps up the whole purpose of the song. And, it obviously, the cover of the album, is the Beverly Hills Hotel, which, I'm sure that they were probably like, ooh, they took a picture of this and now they're singing about, the Hotel California being this evil place. I'm sure they were like, I don't know about that, but it's it's a perfect song. It really is. But it's not my favorite on the album because I've heard it a million times. That's the sole reason. I can't help it. I know people are going to say, oh, you've got to, open your mind to the actual song. I can't help it. It's number 5 for me. Is it the best song on the album? Probably, but it's number 5 for me for my favorites. So
I understand. Well, that perfect song will be later on my list. My number 5, right dead in the middle here, is Life in the Fast Lane, the third single released off the album. Hit number 11. It just missed the top 10. Again, a harder rock song. It balances the album out because there are quite a few ballads, a couple of edgier tracks. The opening riff on this, Joe Walsh, is just fantastic. I love the Henley and Fry lyrics again. There's a lot of sexual innuendo, I guess, in the lyrics as well. Edgier, funkier than virtually every Eagles track that preceded it. This may be the hardest rocking track they've done for me. Again, dual guitars, Walsh and Felder. And I just like how it hits on all the lifestyle, the temptations, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll in a nutshell is all contained within the lyrics and the sound of this song. So number 5, Life in the Fast Lane.
Great tune.
It is.
Number 4, you had it earlier. We're going to go with the lone Joe Walsh tune with Pretty Maids all in a row. Like you said, a lot of people have it as a higher Eagles cut. One of their, lesser known quote hits, I guess. And it's always a great song to hear on the radio when they do play it. I love how kind of like the whiny Joe Walsh vocals work on this song. Mm-hmm. And I think I was on one of my live streams a couple weeks ago when we were talking about this song, and I kind of threw out the hi there, how are you? But Walsh plays it off perfectly. Again, like you said, maybe simple lyrics, but I love how it works. It's kind of a 180 from, again, stuff like Funk 49 and Rocky Mountain Way. It's like, oh, Joe Walsh can actually do a ballad. Like, wow, that's kind of cool. Yeah. And then, lines, he says, like, all you wishing well fools with your fortune, someone should send you a rose with love from a friend, just stuff like that. I mean, it's a great song. I love how it sounds. I love, like I said, Walsh's vocals on it. And it made it up to number 4 for me. So
good one. And it fits in perfectly in the structure of the album where they have it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It flows beautifully. They did a good job of putting the songs in the right order, I think, too.
Yep.
My number 4, I hate putting this at number 4 because I really like it. That's Randy Meisner's Try and Love Again. Love this song. It's got that country-ish flavor. It's hopeful. It's optimistic. It's upbeat. Will I lose or win if I try and love again? He's been knocked down maybe a few times, and he's thinking about getting back on the horse, so to speak. He's got that angelic voice.
Yeah.
Randy Meisner. It's kind of an underrated gem on the album. Probably the one song, maybe one or two, that really doesn't get played on the radio at all and never did. I don't think they've ever done it in concert that I know of.
Well, I know that they've been doing like the Hotel California tour recently, but in terms of the classic lineup, probably not.
Yeah. And again, this is one a lot of people love in the comments. Favorite track. Just a simple, honest, catchy tune. The guitar solo is fantastic at the end. I'll leave some room for you because you haven't named it yet. So that's my number 4, Try and Love Again.
Great pick. Yeah, it was kind of a nice farewell to Randy Meisner.
Yeah.
Which is, again, a shame that he left the way he did. Top 3, crazy. Life in the Fast Lane for me, number 3. Again, every time you see Joe Walsh in an interview, he tells the story how that riff was, a warm up that he was doing backstage, and they're like, "Whoa, what is that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just something." He's like, "I'm just, nimbling up the fingers before a show." And I'm like, "Good grief!" Like, it's probably one of like the top 100, maybe top 50 riffs of all time. I mean, that it's so good. And that's just from a guitar player who just, makes it look so easy, and Walsh isn't talked about enough, but he really is a great guitar player.
Oh, awesome.
I know he's, Rob at Northern Revolutions. He that's his favorite guitarist is Joe Walsh. And again, he's not one that you hear about much, that he's somebody's favorite guitarist. But again, great vocals by Henley. It would have been cool to hear Walsh do this live, and I think he might have, like when he was in I know he was in Ringo's All-Star Band in the late 80s. I think he might have done this as a member of the All-Star Band, so that'd be cool to hear. Again, great Don Henley vocals. The guitar is the star of this show. Again, it doesn't sound like anything else that was coming out at that time. I don't know if it was ahead of its time. The harmonies are super tight. Where they just sing the title "Life in the Fast Lane," and then Don Henley just hits that at the end. But it's a killer song. I mean, again, pure right to the wall rock and roll, and it's only number 3 for me. So
I hear you. My number 3 is one you had down lower, and that's "Victim of Love." I've always loved this song.
Wow.
Recorded live in the studio, no overdubs, one of the Eagles' heavier tracks. I love the sexual innuendos in the lyrics here. You say he's a liar and he put out your fire. How come you still got his gun in your hand? You take that for what it's worth. Some people never come clean. I think you know what I mean. You're walking the wire, pain and desire, looking for love in between. It just flows so beautifully. I love the guitar action here, but Felder's got the opening guitar riff and Walsh with that slide guitar later. And I like Henley. Henley's vocals are always good, but I like when he says, "I could be wrong when I'm not." I've stolen that line a lot myself. Just confidence, cockiness, whatever it is. I could be wrong, but I'm not. "Victim of Love," an all-time great song for me from the Eagles. And number 3. At one time it probably would have been number 2, but I've moved it down a bit.
Yeah, that's funny because, like you said, it was number 8 for me. It was my lowest of the actual
right
songs with lyrics. All right, number 2. This was tough. This was a coin flip for me, and I wasn't sure which one to go with 2, which one to go with 1. So right now I went with "Try and Love Again." Again, it fits my personality. It fits my musical taste. I love the deeper cut, like Bernie Ledden and the Randy Meisner cuts that are never played on the radio. Just a killer tune. I remember the first time I listened to the full album, 2 years ago, whenever you sent me the CD, I was like, wow, that's a great song. Like, I remember listening to that the first time and thinking like that was just a killer song. Again, one of the kind of the standout lines for me where he sings, "Right or wrong, what's done is done. It's only moments that you borrow, but the thoughts will linger on of the lady in her song when the sun comes up tomorrow." And Randy Meisner, I mean, good grief, what a tenor voice he had. Just a high roof. Again, it's a shame that he went out the way he did. I know we lost him, I think, last year. He's the second Eagle to pass after Glenn Fry. So that was kind of a tough thing. I always was hoping that he would play one more time with them, but yeah, it's just a great tune. I mean, everybody knows him obviously for Take It to the Limit, but listen to this song if you don't know it, because it equally as impressive vocally, and possibly a better song. I don't know. Some people might say so, but it's a great song, and I can definitely see this flip-flopping with my number 1 very, very soon. So, but right now it's "Try and Love Again," Randy Meisner.
Yeah, it's great. No question about it. My number 2 is "The Last Resort," the closing song on the album. I hear what you're saying about the heavy-handedness and the maybe self-indulgent stuff, but it's a very powerful song emotionally for me. The imagery, the message, about progress isn't necessarily better, they're ripping down, they're taking people's land away, Native Americans in most cases, and just destroying things with it, I like the whole lyric is fantastic, but you're talking about Henley citing specifically Aspen, Colorado, where the billionaires have driven out the millionaires, and Maui, which was once a paradise, is now was a commercial tourist town, and so many things that were in the pristine state are now changed. the white man's culture stripping away the Native American language and the history and all that kind of stuff, taking their land, building on it, profiting on it, that kind of stuff. It is kind of a heavy subject matter,
Yeah.
but it works for me. And that voice, Henley wrote, I think, every lyric. Glenn Frey helped with the arrangement of the song. It's just a classic. I like the line, where the old world shadows hang heavy in the air. They came from everywhere to the great divide, seeking a place to stand or a place to hide. Somebody laid the mountains low while the town got high. That's an interesting lyric, too. Everything about it, The Last Resort, it works. A lyrical masterpiece. It is probably the most Henley song on the album, but
Yeah.
that doesn't diminish it for me because I like Henley's solo work as well. So I put it at number 2. Up from what it used to be. It used to be Victim of Love was my number 2, but I had to flip them around after listening a few times recently.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool. You had your 3 and 2 were my 8 and 7.
I know. I knew we'd be flip-flop, but not to that degree.
Yeah. We're off to a good start with the series.
It's a tough album. Yeah, the series is going to go right in the tank after this. But anyway. All right, we're down to the big enchilada, man.
Yeah, and you've guessed it by this point. It's New Kid in Town for me. I mean, good grief, I love the song. Is it maybe a little bit yacht rock ish? Maybe.
It is.
It's kind of the Eagles going yacht rock. They're fitting in with the Christopher Crosses and even some like America at this point,
right.
Of what they were doing. But I think it's a great song vocally. In terms of consistency, Glenn Frey is probably my favorite. Of the Eagles, even though I really do love Bernie Ledden and the few songs that he did.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, they're all great. I love them all. Like vocally, they knew who they were bringing, and even Schmidt with the last record of the original group. He had his purpose. But I love how the song sounds. I love the harmony of Glenn Frey. I hate that it's his only contribution really lead to the record. I know he co-wrote and did harmony and everything with other tracks, but just one of the most catchy choruses. And I've been singing it all day long, preparing for this video and thinking like, do I like Try and Love Again better? Do I like New Kid in Town better? But I mean, it was hard for me to get around it. Cause again, I've been singing it all day. So I was like, yeah, for right now, that's my favorite of the record. You look in her eyes, the music begins to play, hopeless romantics. Here we go again. But after a while, you're looking the other way. It's those restless hearts that never mend. And then that great, Johnny Come Lately hook that they do.
Awesome.
It's great. And like you said earlier, I mean, even though it was lower on your list, if I started playing it right now, you would sing along to it. And I would sing along to it. And, yeah, again, it's a shame that we lost Glenn when we did back in 2016. But this is a great tune. And yeah, I know that's not going to make Doc happy, but
no.
But he can unsubscribe. He can do whatever he wants. But this is my favorite, New Kid in Town.
It's weird how, just speaking of Doc, our mutual friend Sean Keys, who I've done tons of movie stuff with, and Sam knows well. He was in the Rock and Roll or the Music Hall of Fame with us, that project. But anyway, I had Doc's favorite song, number 8. And you had his least favorite song, number 1.
Yeah.
So he's going to come after both of us. That's cool.
That's all right. I can take him.
Don't take it too serious, Doc. All good nature. My number 1 is Hotel California, the title track. I couldn't get away from it. I love the mysterious, dreamlike quality it has from the beginning now. On a dark desert highway. I mean, they're painting that picture. The lyrics are coming in. They're taking you to a time and a place with all this stuff going on inside. And you mentioned those lyrics at the end, that last stanza, which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just a great arrangement, perfectly constructed. Like you said, a perfect song. It is overplayed. I can't deny it. One of the most overplayed rock songs of all time, but it's not going to knock it down for me. I just like it too much. The killer dual guitar action. I mean, who's done it any better on one single record than this with Frey or with Felder and Walsh? And live, if you see them live, it's just phenomenal the way they're playing off each other. The trappings of fame and fortune. Again, that's one of the themes that runs through some of these songs. The excess, the pink champagne on ice, the Mercedes, mirrors on the ceiling, that extravagant lifestyle that the rich and famous and rock stars in particular live. Life in the Fast Lane is one of those, and this one as well. It was too iconic to place for me anywhere else on the album. If there's a magnum opus of the Eagles, it's got to be Hotel California for me.
It's their most famous song.
And that's why I have it at number one, because I would feel like I was ripping them off if I didn't. So the other ones are all great. So great album. Let's get to our overall ranking. This will be interesting too. You're going to have to hit me first. Where are you going to put it? 1 to 10. 1 being, guitar picks, nothing to it, just garbage. Or 10 being a masterpiece.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the Eagles albums, it probably is a masterpiece. For me, I kind of took it as, we have 9 tracks. Again, one of them is less than 2 minutes long as a reprise. And I was kind of thinking, like, if I could do without a couple of songs in my life, like, could I survive? And the answer is yes. So I have it sitting at 8, just because, again, Wasted Time and Victim of Love, I could be like, well, by Wasted Time, I mean the reprise. I could do without those, and probably, Last Resort's on the fence. So again, 8 out of 10. Again, for those that are new, I'm a tough grader, and I've always said that I only give an album a 10 out of 10 if it is within my 10 favorite albums of all time. So that's what I've got, an 80%.
Yeah, this is tough for me because it might be in my 10 favorite albums of all time, but it's still not getting a 10. I'm going to give it a 9.5.
Ooh.
Just for the reprise and Wasted Time, which is not an all-time favorite of mine, but they knock it down a bit. But the other 7 songs, I can't think how it could be any better for the Eagles. They peaked at this point for me. I thought One of These Nights was a great album. This is a better album. And then The Long Run, a lot of people crap on it, but I think it's a solid album as well. So I'm going to give it the old 9.5. It's knocking on the door, but it's not quite at 10 yet.
Wow.
So this was a good way to get back into the series, Sam. Thanks a lot for doing it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, this has been on our list for over a year. So I'm glad we got to knock it out as our new season.
Yeah,
kind of.
There'll be more coming in the next little while. We have a list of maybe 8 to 10 albums we haven't done yet and we'd like to do. So hopefully you'll be on the lookout for those. I'm glad to be back doing these things again. I miss doing it. It's just
It's very cool to have you, Rich.
Thanks. I needed this time and space to just collect myself and figure out. Yeah, I don't want to get into too heavy stuff.
Yeah,
here,
right.
I just needed that time to reflect on what I've been doing, what I want to do. And, you get to a certain point in your life and you're going, why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing it because I like hanging out with Sam St. John for one and making videos, just putting my name out there and making friends along the way. That's why I'm doing it. And
YouTube is a lot like Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like.
There you go. I can't end on a better note than that. So that's where we're going to leave it. Look for the videos coming up in the series. I appreciate everybody watching. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, please, and leave some comments. Give your own top 9. We'd love to see that feedback on where we screwed up. There it is. There's the album, Hotel California. So
check it out.
Check it out and leave some feedback. Thanks, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.